Welcome to The Explainer. Let's just dive right in, because today we're breaking down Day 3 of the round of 32 at the 2026 World Cup. It's June 30th, and we've got 3 absolutely massive knockout matches on deck, each with a completely different flavor. We're talking blinding African pace meeting a Scandinavian powerhouse in Dallas, the tournament's absolute juggernaut facing the ultimate surprise package in New Jersey, and a night closer in Mexico City that's basically a powder keg waiting to go off. One loss, and you go home. Think about that. That's the visceral, terrifying reality of single-elimination football, and it literally dictates every single tactical decision we're going to see today. You know, the group stages, those are about accumulating points. But the knockout rounds, it's pure survival. Every team stepping on the pitch today faces this brutal psychological tightrope walk. Like, how do you commit to your aggressive attacking play without being paralyzed by the fear of elimination? Seriously, one mistake, one sloppy counterattack, and 4 years of intense preparation just vanish. Keep that suffocating pressure in the back of your mind as we break down these matchups.
All right, match 1, pace meets power. We've got Ivory Coast versus Norway down in Dallas.
So, Ivory Coast sealed second place in Group E with a really controlled win, while Norway absolutely fought tooth and nail out of Group I. But strategically, we're looking at a glaring tactical mismatch here. On one hand, you have Ivory Coast's lethal transition pace on the wings. I mean, we're talking guys like Wilfried Zaha and Simon Adingra, and they're going right up against Norway's vulnerable high defensive line, which, let's be honest, has been really susceptible to balls played in behind all tournament long. If you're Ivory Coast, this is exactly the scenario you drill for hours in training. You absorb the pressure, hold your defensive structure to stay alive, and the absolute second you win that ball, boom, you trigger those rapid wingers. Honestly, Ivory Coast is probably the most dangerous opponent Norway could have drawn for this exact reason.
But don't count out Norway's master plan. Look, they took a massive 4-1 beating from France on match day 3, but you know what? It was completely calculated. They rotated heavily and rested their key starters because they'd already booked their ticket to the knockouts. And the biggest takeaway from that? It means Erling Haaland is fully fresh and operating at 100% capacity. It was a total genius gamble by the Norwegian coach. They willingly sacrificed a group stage result to make sure a hungry, angry, and fully rested Erling Haaland is ready to just explode today.
So how does this translate into our predictions? Well, we actually expect Ivory Coast to strike first. Their sheer pace is going to catch Norway cold early on, before Haaland can even find his rhythm, giving that Dallas crowd a massive shock opening goal. But Haaland answers back. A fully fresh Haaland in a knockout match is, without a doubt, the most dangerous striker in the world right now. Ultimately, we see Norway pulling this out 2-1 in a seriously tense, dramatic match, with Haaland's physical dominance eventually just shattering Ivory Coast's impressive defensive shape.
Moving on to match 2, the juggernaut versus the surprise. France facing off against Sweden up in New Jersey.
On paper, this is the ultimate contrast of the tournament. You've got the most dominant team squaring off against Group F's biggest surprise package, a team that barely scraped through in 3rd place. And for France, this number right here just says it all, +8. That is their monstrous goal difference coming out of Group I, where they grabbed a perfect 9 points. They look absolutely terrifying right now. Kylian Mbappe is in record-breaking form, and look, when a team is scoring this freely while still staying structurally sound enough to not concede, yeah, they become the undeniable tournament favorites.
But let's zoom in on where the tactical damage is actually going to happen. Ousmane Dembélé already bagged a hat-trick in this tournament against Norway, so he arrives at MetLife as literally the most informed winger of the entire World Cup. Meanwhile, Sweden has shown a very distinct defensive weakness on their left side. And a team like France, they don't just casually attack, they surgically exploit your weaknesses. You better believe Dembélé is going to be fed the ball constantly to isolate and punish that left side.
However, Sweden isn't just going to roll over and accept elimination. Let me introduce you to Viktor Gyokeres, Sweden's fearless weapon. Sweden demolished Tunisia 5-1 and took down Ivory Coast, and it was largely thanks to this guy. He has been absolutely electric. But the big question is, can he do it against the tournament favorites? Scoring against this French defense today is his ultimate test. This is his moment to prove why top European clubs have paid an absolute fortune for him, and to prove that this 3rd-place Swedish squad deserves some serious respect.
So here's how we see this one playing out. Dembele is going to exploit that left side to score again early on. Now, we do expect Gyokeres to prove he's way too good to be silenced, and he'll find the back of the net for Sweden. Ultimately, though, France wins 3-1. Over 90 minutes, the crazy squad depth, the sheer quality of Mbappe and Dembele, and their ability to just relentlessly apply pressure, it's going to result in a comfortable statement victory for the French.
Finally, match 3, the Azteca pressure cooker. Mexico takes on Ecuador down in Mexico City.
So Mexico topped Group A with 3 straight wins, and Ecuador? They just pulled off a monumental 2-1 upset over Germany to sneak through. But tonight, tactics might honestly take a back seat to this number right here. 87,000. That is the visceral, deafening reality of 87,000 screaming Mexican fans packed inside the iconic Estadio Azteca. The sheer noise is going to hit Ecuador like a freight train in the first 15 minutes. And make no mistake, this environment fundamentally alters tactics. The Mexican players are going to ride that massive wave of adrenaline, pushing super high and aggressive. Ecuador, on the other hand, just has to survive that initial onslaught without completely collapsing under the psychological weight of the stadium.
Which brings us to the absolute most important tactical battle on the pitch, Moises Caicedo's midfield control versus that insane Azteca momentum. Look, Ecuador's win over Germany was not a fluke. It was built entirely on Caicedo dominating the midfield. Today, his job isn't just about stringing passes together, it is literally about crowd control. If he can dictate the tempo, slow the game down, and keep possession, he might just silence that roaring crowd. But if the Azteca momentum overruns the midfield, Ecuador is finished.
So here are our predictions for the night closer. The Azteca environment overwhelms Ecuador early on. All that noise translates into relentless Mexican pressure. Then, Raúl Jiménez, Mexico's all-time leading tournament scorer, steps up and delivers a goal under immense pressure. In the end, Mexico wins 2-1, but man, it is going to be an absolute roller coaster. We fully expect Ecuador, still riding the high of that Germany upset, to launch a lightning counterattack goal, really making Mexico suffer before the home side eventually secures the win.
But to really grasp the true stakes for Mexico tonight, you have to understand the Quinto Partido curse. For those uninitiated in the heartbreak of Mexican football, this is their historical, agonizing inability to advance past the round of 16 at a World Cup. It's this massive psychological barrier that literally hangs over the entire nation. But here is the giant difference this year. They are playing a knockout game with home advantage for the first time ever. They have 87,000 fans acting as their 12th man, desperate to push them past this historic hurdle.
Which leaves us with a few final questions to chew on. Does the curse finally end tonight in the Azteca? Does Ecuador have one more miracle left in the tank? And looking back at New Jersey, can literally anyone stop Kylian Mbappe in France? Take a moment. Think about how these tactical setups and extreme pressure environments are going to dictate today's results, and drop your predictions down in the comments. Thanks so much for joining this explainer, and enjoy the matches.